Thank you so much. Today I'm here to talk to you all about 4 keys to optimal performance on the field and in the classroom. So how many of you guys out there want to achieve optimal performance? Oh, God. Somebody out there kind of like, no, not me, mediocrity is kind of my thing, you know. So let's try again. How many of you guys want to be performing optimally? Oh, there we go. That's much, much better. And we're not just talking about performing optimally on, some occasions, because everybody's had that day, that key moment where they've been out there and they've said, I really nailed it at that meeting, or I've really, really been, so engaged on the field. I really nailed that test. You have had those moments, but it's duplicating that time and time again that can be challenging. And for me, from both an academic and an athletic standpoint, I think it can be tough to achieve that balance. So in my particular case, what had happened is I had been a high school athlete, a collegiate athlete, and then I started my own business very young at about 24 or 25. But very shortly after starting my own business, around 24, 25, I just started feeling really run down all the time. I was still playing post-collegiately, and I thought I was eating very well. I thought I was just doing a great job following all these regulations and rules for eating. But I pretty much just felt like awful all the time. And I went to the doctor, and they were throwing the term narcolepsy around, because I would literally fall asleep if I were in a seminar, if I were sometimes driving to clients' houses very early in the morning. I would wake up in the middle of the road and, oh my God, how did I get here? Very terrifying. I do not recommend that any of you try that. So after having been to a few doctors and having kind of received some diagnoses that were kind of all over the place, it kind of seemed a little bit like I was starting to get blood work back, like I was having kind of an autoimmune condition. And, this kind of made sense to me, but of course was very, very discouraging. And I could remember just kind of this rock bottom feeling one day where I had a long, long list of clients for the evening. And my dad had stopped by my house, and I was just practically in tears. I'm like, I have a ton of clients tonight, and I feel so sick. I'm so congested. I feel so run down. I don't know what I'm going to do. And not being the type of person to give up, of course, I went in. I put on a happy face. I saw my clients. I still enjoyed being with my clients, but I knew that wasn't my optimal potential. I knew something was missing. And so I really started on a quest of thinking outside the box, of not just going with conventional wisdom in terms of trying to achieve the best, but approaching it from several different standpoints. And I have been all over the country and all over the world working with some of the best coaches, the best athletes, the best nutritionists, the best social workers. Because really what it comes down to when you're trying to achieve optimal performance is it's not just a one-sided thing. It's not just mental. It's not just physical. And it's not just nutritional. It's the combination of how all of these things work together to make you achieve your very best. So today, that's what we are going to talk about. 4 keys to optimal performance. So I use it by talking about energy, because now, as you can see, I have tons of energy after having done this. I actually, amazingly enough, show no signs of autoimmune anymore in my blood work at all. It is an incredible thing. I'm just grateful to God and to everyone for. But let's talk about how you're using your energy and how you can maximize your energy. To me, there are 4 different pillars of energy here that you can work with. So first we have nutritional energy, and that really has to do with what you're putting in your body on a day-to-day basis. Then we have mental, emotional energy, and a lot of the time that has to do with the people that surround you, the people you surround yourself with. Because a lot of us sometimes tend to feel broken down or we tend to feel repressed because the people around us are these energy vampires, right? And they take away from us the things that we need most to feel the best about ourselves on a regular basis. Then we have physical energy and movement. And we have these things that we need to create a healthy body and healthy person. And as athletes, many of you, I'm sure, after a 3-hour practice, you're falling asleep in your chairs in class. And so then, of course, since you're using that physical energy, we have to know then how to recover that energy after tremendous expenditure. So nutritional energy, mental, emotional energy, physical energy, and then recovering that energy. So let's talk a little bit specifically about nutritional energy. And I want you to think really briefly, take a moment and write it down. What was the last thing that you had to eat or drink? Take a second, think about it, write it down. What's the last thing that you had to eat or to drink? Now, not going to do a show of hands, because I don't want to put anyone on the spot. But how many of you actually wrote down a brand? So in other words, not a food. You didn't write down, oh, I had an apple, or I had some oatmeal, or I had some rice, but you actually wrote down something like Cheerios, or Coca-Cola, or something that we would easily recognize as part of a consumer culture kind of brand. Because that's the thing. Then that's what you're consuming. You're not actually consuming something that's going to energize you and that's going to help your performance on a regular basis. You are consuming a brand. So key number 1, know what you are putting in your body. Okay, if you look at our cute little cartoon here, do you also eat those with that mask on? Because this is my little pitch for organic food here. If things are being sprayed with chemicals that they need to use masks, then you probably shouldn't be putting that in your body. So what's our rule for physical energy, for putting things into our body? Basically, you want whole, fresh, organic produce, and you want to stop worrying about things like calories and all of this other sort of stuff that's just going to make you feel like you're on some sort of program. Okay, the idea, especially as a high-level athlete, is that you want to be getting the most bang for your buck. So what I like to talk about, everybody's familiar with macronutrients, right? Protein, carbohydrates, fat. And there's always some food group there that's being demonized, but really you need all of them to be a healthy, energized individual. So you want to focus more on getting the most micronutrients for your buck. So what are those? Micronutrients are vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. And guess where you're going to find the most of them? In your fruits, in your vegetables, sometimes in nuts, and in certain types of greens, but nothing that's too processed. So think about all those good, healthy things that you could potentially be putting into your body right now, and make a list of not things that you want to take out of your diet, but things that you want to add. Some micronutrient-rich foods like perhaps goji berries, chia seeds. If you haven't heard of these things, start researching them. Start expanding your mind and your palate a little bit so your body is getting all of these micronutrients that it needs to function at optimal potential. Key number 2, know what you are putting into your mind, because we do have these energy vampires around us sometimes. And sometimes we can't help but being influenced by the gossip, other people on your team saying negative things about you, saying negative things about your coach, about your teammates. You could feed into that, or you can create your own reality, or you can make your own potential and not listen to what everyone else is saying. Also, come prepared. How many times have you performed poorly on a test or in practice simply because you are not prepared, simply because you are not ready? And that is part of that key to that emotional, mental energy. Number 3, know how much time you need to take to recover, and then take it. Especially as athletes, if you have a 3-hour practice, you are going to need a lot of sleep, okay? If you're thinking that you're going to spend 3 hours practicing and then cram for a test and then get up the next day and do it all over again on just 4 hours sleep, then a crash is coming very soon. So you have to plan to take breaks, otherwise your body will force you to take them, unfortunately. And you have to know how to recover mentally too. Because a lot of you might be sitting there thinking, well, she's up on stage and this is, so this has got to be easy for her. I'm a pretty shy person naturally. So I know that after I do this, part of what I do to re-energize and really get excited for the next time out is I take a lot of time sitting and planning and recovering mentally and making sure that I am sharp for my next time out. Key number 4, know what movement patterns serve you best. That doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to go out there and do CrossFit, because that is insane. You want to know your body, right? What does your body feel best when it's doing? Do you feel best when you're doing yoga, when you're stretching? Are you more the type where you need to be competitive with someone in order to really achieve your best? Do you need to be walking? Do you need to be moving? Are you the type of person who can't play tennis if you think your form might be off? Because in that case, you need someone to evaluate your movement patterns. And that's the type of movement that you should then be focused on and that will help you the most. So I want you to think about all of these different pieces and how you can